here we are. What are your thoughts today as you see Joe Biden inaugurated as the president of the United States in his speech?
Well, it's a sunny day here in Miami, and I suspect it's a little sunnier in most locales, both here and abroad. I think that this is obviously a very happy day for a lot of us, and hopefully the whole country. I think there's a number of people who are just breathing a little bit easier in light of what happened in the last 2 weeks, whatever your politics. So I thought his speech was fantastic. Again, talking about where we can all come together and hopefully we can start going down that road.
You never wavered from your guy either. You told the FT way back in February of last year, quote, "A candidate is not a momentum stock, despite what Wall Street might think. You support them because you believe in them." You certainly did. What are your expectations now, though, for a Biden administration?
Well, first of all, I think we're going to hopefully see a lot more coherent policy coming not just from the Oval Office, but from the agencies, from the cabinet secretary positions. I don't think this is going to be quite the kingdom of the Sun King that we had in the last 4 years. And that's probably a good thing for everybody involved. The other probably important points from my perspective are number one, we're going to reach back out to our allies. I think we have a lot of work to do there. We know who our adversaries are, but it's also good to know who your friends are. And then as it relates to your viewers, and I think that one of the things we're probably going to see is a tougher regulatory regime as it relates to the markets and finance. You've seen the appointees for the SEC and the Consumer Finance Protection Board and Bureau, and the way I explain it is, it's one thing not to have any referees on the field at all to ensure a fair game, but when you have the referees on the sideline taking bets, it's even worse. And I think that no one wants too much regulation, but no regulation at all, particularly what I call the golden age of fraud, which is what we're in, I think begins to raise external costs to the market. And I think that hopefully we'll see the pendulum move the other way on that.
You told me on election night that you expected a divided government. And given the results of the Georgia runoff on the 5th, the Democrats are going to control government. They're going to be in control of the Senate. So what do you think that now means for the markets at large?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's obviously a close run thing. And it's 50-50 with the deciding vote in ties being cast by the vice president. Now, the question, I don't want to get into the weeds too much, but obviously the question will be how much can they pass through simple majority votes, particularly through what's called reconciliation for tax and budget bills, versus broader policies which will require 60 votes. And can we reach across the aisle? Can Dems reach across the aisle and find common ground with the Republicans, as the president hopes to find? And we'll have to see. I mean, that remains to be seen.
Do you have a feel, because of let's call them the external forces that are at work underneath the market, all of the liquidity provided from the Fed, President Biden talking about a near $2 trillion stimulus package, plus a vaccine rollout, which, although it hasn't been smooth, the hope is that it is going to get there and get in enough people's arms that we can get back to some semblance of normalcy, that is going to be a boon for the stock market in the year or so ahead?
I think it's going to be a boom for the economy. I joked this morning that for people to think that the stock market is not discounting a stimulus and a complete vaccine rollout, they might want to look at the reopening plays that have been rallying since June and are at basically all-time highs in terms of valuations. So the stock market is clearly looking ahead, and at this point, I think is looking ahead into 2022 or 2030 or 2050, depending on the stock. But I think that I think everybody's in agreement that there'll be pretty robust economic growth in 2021 coming out of this.
Do you think the markets looked too far ahead?
I always think that, Scott. No, it's look. It depends on we're stock pickers, as you know, and it just depends on the story and what people are looking at. But for example, a lot of the reopening plays that, as I said, people have been buying hand over fist since June, really, when the first glimmers of the vaccine being available in the fall came out. They're back to way above where they were in 2019 in terms of total market cap. So they have completely erased the vaccine's effect and are looking forward to big up numbers, whether it's in travel or leisure or whatever, what have you. And then on top of that, the stay-at-home stocks are still doing relatively well too. So the market is having both its cake and eating it too.